Okay, where to begin? Our economy? So messed up right now. But I'm gonna make more videos talking about that, like, later. Right now, what I want to focus on is U.S. intervention in Libya. Okay, we've already fired, like, $800 million of Tomahawks into Libya, supposedly to help the civilians, yet we are killing them. Like, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but civilian casualties are on the rise because of our bombing runs. But at the same time, why the fuck are we going into Libya? That's the first question. So, I started studying this, trying to find out why, what's going on, and basically our government's saying it is our moral obligation, okay, moral obligation to help the Libyan people. Well, who are we helping? Are we helping the civilians that we're bombing? Are we trying to give more power to the rebels that want to overthrow Colonel Gaddafi? Or are we going to support Gaddafi and maintain oil trade? Or, it's the United States. There's a lot going on that they don't like to tell us. I guess one of the major ones would be the spending, of course. They say we have the money to do that. Last I checked, we don't have the money to be in the two wars that we're in now, in Afghanistan and Iraq. We're stretched thin. And now we're supposedly going into Libya for humanitarian needs, which would be the third war backed by the United States. We don't have the finances for that at all. Like, I don't know where they got the idea that we could do that. Oh, wait, yeah, we're the United States, we could do anything. Either way, there have already been millions of dollars spent maintaining this no-fly zone, doing these operations, and everything, and they have millions more ready to be committed to this. Okay, I don't think you guys are catching the full, I guess, point I'm trying to make with this. Everybody's in debt. That's no secret. Everybody's in debt. So why are we going to increase our debt by doing this? We're not getting our treasuries bought out by other nations anymore. We're starting to devalue their economy. Our inflation's so bad. We're just printing off more money, which is in turn harming our economic status even more. I mean, you don't put out a fire by adding more gasoline. You don't solve an economic recession by spending more money. That's nonsense. My personal opinion, we're going into Libya for the oil. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. But if you look at the basic points, we're going there for humanitarian reasons to help the civilians. Well, the military was shooting civilians in Bahrain, Yemen, Egypt, Tunisia. There were some military crackdowns going on. Did we give a fuck about those countries? No. But Libya, who has a lot of oil reserves, when they start doing it, apparently that's a bad thing. So that's why we're going in. We're going in to secure oil. I mean, it's kind of like Iraq. If you look at the bigger picture of Iraq, we were there for the oil. I mean, Obama, for example, has stated that, we are going to pull our troops out of Iraq since he's been elected, okay? We still have 500,000 people there. The embassy, the new U.S. embassy they just built in Iraq, is bigger than the Vatican City. We're never leaving Iraq. Iraq is going to be part of the United States, but, unofficially. And that's what I think is going to happen with Libya. And at the same time, the rebels that are fighting against their government in Libya, they know this. They know what Western intervention means. That means that we are about to occupy them. They don't want that. They want to fight for their freedoms. The entire Middle East wants to fight for their freedoms. They're tired of being stepped on. Well, why are we going to support them and then turn around and step on them? This country is it's such a hypocrite, It's bad. It's really bad. No wonder why everybody hates us. But on a different note, protests and riots are starting to show up in Saudi Arabia, and I'm kind of interested to see our position on that. Because will the United States support the ruling family to keep the oil going, or are we going to support the people because they want democratic change, like what we're saying with Libya? Kind of a sticky situation. But then that brings us to the oil dependency of the United States. Shit, we'll go on like the whole world at this point. We are like a crackhead. We constantly need it, otherwise, like we will explode. That's how it is with oil. We constantly need oil. Otherwise, you'll see our economy dismantle itself overnight. So, what are we doing? We occupy these other countries based on humanitarian needs, or WMDs, kind of like Iraq, but we never found any. That's the funny thing about that. And nobody, us the people, stood by and let it happen. Like the government has absolute control of everything that goes on. Well, I directly oppose this. I believe in the Constitution. I believe that us as the people have the right to reform our government. If the government does anything that the mass majority of the people disagree with, we have the right to change it. We have the right to stand up for it. But what happens when we do? We get called traitors. We get called domestic terrorists. You can't, like the freedom of speech is only freedom of speech when you're saying shit they agree with. And when I say they, I mean the government. Because as soon as you start getting blasphemous and everything about the government, you either get jailed, like called a traitor, unpatriotic, these domestic terrorists. I mean, this country was founded on the ability to restrict government. That's what the Constitution's there for, is to basically explain that we, the people, control the government, not the other way around. And, it's heartbreaking, really. Those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, start doing your research. Start educating yourselves. People have lost their balls to question things. That pisses me off to no end. We need to stand up and do something. The United States becomes more of a military police state every year. We get our rights taken away. You got like the Homeland Security Act. You got them trying to censor the internet. You got here we go. The president has an executive order that he can do at any time, and that takes full control of communications, which would mean, like if the shit hits the fan, he has the ability to restrict what we know and how we communicate. Cell phones would be shut off, internet would be shut off, things like that. There would be no communication amongst people. Is that really right? Do you think we the people should allow that? I mean, last I checked, America was the land of the free. But we're only free when they want us to be. We only get so much. We get the trickle down from the economy. We get the leftovers. While the elitists, 1% of the population that have, full control over all these corporations and stuff, just rape us. I, for one, totally against that, and I hope more people see it that way and rise up, and kind of like the Libyan people, Either way, I guess I'm done with that. I just kind of strayed off topic. I was trying to focus on Libya. So I guess recap: U.S. intervention in Libya gonna cost us a shit ton of money. Gonna put us more in debt than we already are. Not really helping anybody. We're trying to help the civilians, they claim, but we're killing some of them. It's not looking good, But my thoughts on Libya and what's going on right now, I have more thoughts about like the economic system as a whole. GDP and all that shit. But I'll get to those later. Thanks for listening. And if you don't believe anything I'm saying, look it up. For God's sakes, don't argue with me about something that you just want to argue with me about. Have some good points, because I've been doing my research. So I will have good points as well. So you better be prepared for that. Prove me wrong, I guess. Prove me wrong. Find sources, prove me wrong, tell me I'm wrong. And if you can't, then I'm going to tell you you're wrong, and you should start listening to me. Alright, well, everybody have a good night. Patriot out. Peace.